So moving on to another phone techie nursing conversation here. The number one contributor to these phones, to this obsession that we have with this in America specifically, is probably Apple. They're the big guns. You know, everyone has an iPhone, and if you don't have an iPhone, you have something Apple in your house, and that's not the goddamn point. The point of this next story is that in Lynchburg College, this is in West Virginia, earns Apple Distinguished School title for Ion Nursing. And what you say, what the hell is Ion Nursing? I have never heard of this. Well, this school in Lynchburg, West Virginia, they use, it's a college. In this college, in the nursing program, they use Apple products, and they don't just use it to let me look at someone's body part. They actually use it throughout the entire program. They use it for their textbooks. They use it for, going on, pretending that they're on the MAR, the EMAR, and all this cool stuff, which I think is absolutely legit. So let me just read you directly from the article. The program allows sophomores majoring in nursing to get iPad devices. Students use electronic textbooks and apps to learn and visualize internal anatomy and procedures. They also use the devices to practice working with electronic records, a must-have skill for today's nurses, which I think is 1,000% correct. Outside of my clinicals, I really didn't do much of the EMAR stuff in actual class, in the actual, when you playing with the dummies and shit. We did very little of that in school, which I think we should have had, in our informatics class. There should have been a portion of that class where you try different types of EMARs, right? We're not like the Omnicell and all of that stuff. I think that should have been integrated, which is hard to do if you don't have phones and iPads, but now we do. And as a nurse, the amount of time you are looking at a screen as a nurse is probably more time than you will spend with a patient. That's just the fact of today. Documentation, and all of your documentation, if you are going into a facility that has, is with the current system, is going to be on a computer, it's going to be on an iPad, it's going to be on a mobile device, it's going to be on some type of technology, and that's just a fact. So this is super important, and I love that this is happening. And in college, when I was in school, I had my iPad, and I had all of my nursing textbooks on that iPad, which I have to say, 1,001%. I know people out there, and I myself even got really frustrated while I was studying, because I love that highlighting, because I feel like I'm actually learning more when I'm highlighting in the actual textbook. But I made it through nursing school, so obviously it works. You're right, obviously it works. But me going into school with my iPad mini, instead of the 9 textbooks that weighed 1,000 pounds a piece every single day, lugging that shit around to every library I'm going to when I need to study, it probably saved my back, but that shit failed real quick when I'm at work right now. Anyways, I'm sure it saved my back. I'm 1,000% sure it saved my back, because those books were goddamn big. Huge. A little bit of racial content, and a little bit of unsensitive content in them. But I did have it on my iPad mini, which was probably less than a pound and a half, compared to the textbooks, which probably weighed altogether maybe 30 to 40 pounds. Literally, those textbooks were heavy as fuck. So when they asked the school about it, they responded, an important part of the Lynchburg experience in student engagement, said Sally Selden, Vice President and Dean for the Academic Affairs. We're proud of the way we're proud of the way the nursing program has applied technology to engage students, and we're pleased that Apple recognizes the quality education we provide. And this is true. It doesn't matter how you get your information. I just think this is just one step ahead of the game. These students are going to have to learn how to use technology. And if you're a student today, especially on the younger age, you know how to use, everyone knows how to use technology today. But when it comes to these specific nursing MARs and how to document when it comes to these, medical informatics, companies and stuff, it is really, 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 really helpful, because for every orientation you do as a nurse, I promise you this, every orientation you do as a nurse, I promise you, your job goes from taking 3 hours in the beginning, from documenting on your patients, 3 hours a day, to taking up to an hour, just because you're getting used to the system, because it makes more sense, because you understand it intuitively, you know what clicks where you can find what information. So if you get to learn the basics, the bare bones, right, just the basement level of information from the majority of the most used MARs and EMARs around the world, around the country that you're in, this would be very, very helpful. I think that would be super helpful. And once you get one of them, you really do get all of them. It's just different clicks and different places for different information. But most of the ones I've used personally have been the same.